know. It is SoProfound. He is a poet and one of the leading media personalities in Zimbabwe who has a more than a decade-long career. He's also the founder and curator of 2 poetry and spoken word platforms. So please join me in welcoming SoProfound.
My heart was genuinely screaming, I do need an introduction. How's everybody doing today? Oh yeah, let's have a vibe check. I don't like how just you all feel like you're about to sleep or something. If I raise my right hand in the air, I want you to say what out loud. Can you do that? All right, right hand in the air, say what? Okay, louder than that. Louder than that. Are you ready for some poetry tonight? Tell you what, when I was younger, when I was invited to events like this, it was so easy because the goal was to just go out there and blow people away. And it worked for a while until I grew up. And the older I grow, it becomes more and more difficult because the question is no longer how do I totally obliterate the stage and just blow everyone away. The question is now, how can I leave something worth holding on to the people that I'm going to communicate and spending time with. This usually happens when you have had a series of life-changing experiences where time is no longer just time. It's now a gift. And you're like, I can't just go there to just selfishly just make my brain grow. But what else can I do that someone can say, I was feeling down and I felt that, or I wasn't okay that day and I felt that, or this is what was going through my mind, and that moment helped me cross over. Or maybe not feel any of that. You could just want to feel loved, and it's just like, oh, I felt some butterflies, and that was worth it. So when I was thinking of what to do today, I figured I'm going to share a few good poems. I'm going to share a few good stories, and hopefully one beautiful lesson. Few good poems, few good stories, and one beautiful lesson. This one is called Home. My cousin Tatenda left home on the eve of his 16th birthday. The parents said home was not the same anymore, so they were relocating for a little while to look for more. And whenever I would steal a moment over Skype for a conversation, he would always tell me stories about home. And he would always say he doesn't like his new home because it never quite felt like home. And in every conversation, he would always make sure he told me that even though it didn't feel like home, it was better than home. Especially because home never got better ever since he left. It only got worse. In every conversation we would chat up, he would always talk about how much he misses home, what's happening at home, who's happening at home, how can I connect with home, and I can't wait to come back home. And when he did, he couldn't hide the excitement that he was happy to be back home. But after a while, the excitement would wear off and you could tell he was starting to get frustrated with home. Because it didn't quite feel like home. He missed the conveniences, the ease of doing life, the simplicity of home. So before you know it, he started complaining about home. And he couldn't wait to go back home. And when he did, he would call me first thing and tell me that, man, I miss home. Because home just doesn't quite feel like home. What I'm truly saying is, to my fathers, those within reach, the players, those who actually appear in the spaces we look up to, I hope you know that beyond the voting, the politicking, the recalling, the corrupt living, and everything in between that you call doing our jobs, I hope you know that there are people who no longer have a place they call home. In 2017, this is leading up to something. Feel good poems, feel good stories, and hopefully a beautiful lesson. In 2017, I'm getting to know a special someone at the time. We've become very good friends. And time and again, she would come over to the radio station. I was working for ZFM at the time. She'd come over to the radio station to just hang out. And she had one of those trips the one time, and she's like, "Arnold, I know you're gonna love this." And at the time, 2017, she played me this beautiful song. No one knew it, just some high school kids trying to have a career. One of the kids in that whole song was Gerima Panzure. High school, no one knew about him. This song barely had views on YouTube, but he said, "The kids from my church are going crazy with this song. You should listen to it." We listened to it in a car, and guess what? What a beautiful song. I took it to radio. 3 months or so later, after spinning, it became one of the hottest songs on radio. The guy had a career. We never met. In fact, we met once or twice, but he didn't know who I was. He didn't know how instrumental I was to whatever was happening in his career. But that's why we exist in these places, right? Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I read a headline that said Gerima Panzure had died. Ripped the heart out of my chest, because even though I didn't know him personally, I did. We're so connected. But what broke my heart in that moment was not just him passing, but I then watched a video of the wife, Vimbai, crying and trying to wonder what a young wife of that age, 23, 24, 25, was going to do for the rest of her life with that kind of pain. And I revisited a certain place, and I wrote something for her. It's called A Ballad for Vimbai. Here goes. I'd memorized it, but I was afraid I was going to butcher it, because the essence of it really means a lot to me, and I hope I can transfer what it means to me to you. This one is called A Ballad for Vimbai. There's the kind of pain even a good hug cannot heal. The type even the finest makeup cannot conceal. Where melodies from favorite songs are like riots and eardrums, it's the kind of pain where words are not invited. Maybe tears, but even then it almost feels like tears don't write good enough poems for comfort. This pain. It's the type that is too deep to feel. The type that cannot be recorded to memory, but printed to the soul to be kept as scars. It's the kind of pain that turns beautiful memories to nightmares. And the world feels like a gun. And each and everything becomes a trigger, where simple hellos can fetch tears and innocent goodbyes facilitate breakdowns. It's that kind of pain that turns strong men into diaper-needing children. This pain doesn't break hearts, it crushes them. When it visits you, I pray that peace that surpasses all understanding hugs your soul, and that hope sings a song with your spirit, and that time is kind to you enough to one day you can look back and just say it was just a season. Ditambize ruoko di bateo. Baby girl di oneo. No, no, don't let go. Haudi ere di kudeo. Mazua acho apura. Nguva yacho hakuna. No. Dokuda moyo wangu watora wapunza. That's a ballad for Wimbai. And when that pain visits you, I hope you can remember this moment and have something to hold on to. Okay, let's shake it off. Come on. Whew! Poem is called Lately I've Been Thinking of You. But the lesson is about hip-hop and the story is about my own life. So when I say this, what do you say? One. When I say this, what do you say? When I say this, what do you say? Come on, be lively. Come on, I'm speaking to you. When I say, what do you do? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Guys. So, the first lesson is about hip-hop. I love hip-hop. I'm a hip-hop head. So, a little bit of history about hip-hop. For those who don't know, hip-hop started in a city in New York. Basically, the heart of it was a disenfranchised youth who were finding a place to express themselves. So they would find means for them to do, number one, to party, but also to communicate. For example, in inner city, if you were to visit the Bronx, a lot of the buildings had graffiti art on them. But back in the day, the graffiti wasn't art, the graffiti was a message. So you'd see on the wall, "Stop police brutality." They were trying to communicate with the system that, hey, stop brutalizing us, right? So graffiti became one of the weapons. But the true central part of hip hop starts with when DJs would go to party, and there's a part in the song, where there's just a beat. And that part where it's just a beat, it's called a break. The reason why it's called a break in the song is because it's giving you a break from the lyrics, and it's giving you a part where you can what? You can dance, you can do whatever. So during the break, they noticed that people in the party liked the break so much more, so DJs found a way to extend the break by bringing 2 turntables and extending the break, playing the same record but extending the break. So a break that was 50 seconds could now be 5 minutes, right? So that became known as DJing, right? 2 turntables and a mic. But the mic was so that when the people are dancing to the break, there's someone who's hyping up the crowd. Let me get a name. Who's gonna, let's say Sophie, right? I see Sophie in the crowd. So Sophie's breakdancing. So the MC will be saying, "Go Sophie, go Sophie." Oh, Sophie's from West Avenue, blah, blah, blah. And that became known as MCing, right? Because they're MCing on a break beat. That's what it called. But the people who were dancing, they were break dancing. So because that's why it's called break dancing. Because it's from the break. Dancing during a break. But you see, I needed 8 minutes. I knew it. So it's called break dancing. But the people who were dancing, they were dancing a specific style. It was break dancing, right? But there was also something called b-boying. B-boying was people doing handstands, spinning on their heads. People had never seen that. So the people who used to do that were called B-boys or B-girls, right? You got that? But then hip-hop evolved. But when it evolved, the MCs started becoming a main thing because they were now toasting or rapping on top of break beats, and MCs started to become a thing. So as they were MCing, they took the party out of the party and they took it to the inner city on basketball courts or anything, and they would form a circle and someone would beatbox and they would call that a cipher, right? So I want you to hold on to a few things here. Number one, hip-hop has 5 elements. Number one is knowledge of self. You cannot practice hip-hop if you don't know yourself, right? Number 2, there's MCing. the MCs. Number 3, there is DJ. Number 4, they are graffiti artists. And number 5, they are b-boys or break dancers. Let's rehearse this. Number 1, knowledge yourself. Number 2, MC. Number 3, DJ. Number 4, graffiti. I like you. Graffiti. And number 5, b-boy. You got those?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the lesson. Zip it up, put it here. Forget the lesson. Now, here's the story. I don't know about you, but have you noticed that most of us lose lives trying to win battles we lost as kids? It's like our childhood victories never last. It's only our failures that are permanently plastered to our memories. Like if you were to really audit your life, you would notice that the stories that headline your life now are not too far from the stories that used to headline your life in the past. So it's like a lot of us, we grow, but we grow up, but we never really grow. We remain kids inside. Well, I grew up in Waterfalls, son of a middle-class citizen who rented a house in Parktown. 194 5th Avenue was the address. So here was the setup at my house. The earliest my father could be home from work was 8 p.m. His off days were Tuesdays, so we never saw him. We never really had that father-to-son bond. My mom ran a business out of town, so she was never around. My brother and sister were both in high school when I was still way down in primary, so we just didn't relate. So I was such a loner. But next door to our house was a boy just my age. Same school, same everything, just different realities. Only child in his family, raised in a Christian home and blessed enough not to miss out on toys. Very intelligent and ahead. He was the first person I heard who wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. He could even spell the word, oh my God. So because Alan's reality somehow just looked more perfect than mine, and my parents were not there to really parent us, I soon tagged on to Alan's reality. So we were always together. I was always at his house. I remember would rush home from school daily so we could watch cartoons at his house, because at the time DSTV was a thing, and they had DSTV and we didn't. So, would rush home, change, and go sit by the television set and watch cartoons at his house. And one of our favorite cartoons was Johnny Bravo. Oh my God. We loved Johnny. For some reason, he was our idea of an ideal man whose love and charm we both wish we could have. We were just kids. Sundays were no different because my parents weren't around. I didn't do anything on Sunday, so I tagged on to Alan's family when they were going to church. I was literally adopted. So we would go to church, and church for us was somewhat like a playfield because we would make fun of the faces people used to make during praise and worship. And despite Alan having what seemed to be a perfect reality, I was somewhat his dosage of confidence this one time. He was supposed to recite Psalms 23 in front of the whole church. Now, he convinced me to go with them, but so it became Alan and a friend are going to do Psalms 23. Now, as the friend, I didn't know what a psalm was, let alone 23 psalms. I was stupid enough to go with him and made a fool out of myself. Another incident I remember so vividly was a spelling contest we held at a group called Awana. After beating everyone, I was left with Alan in the final, and he went first, and as usual, we got his word right. I came after him, and my word was purpose. I got into it with so much confidence with my eyes closed, and there I went, P-R-E-R-P-O-S-E. I opened my eyes, and everyone laughed. I lost that contest. And it cemented what I already knew, that my best friend was always going to be better than me. If you were to describe us in comparison, me and Alan was more jazz. He paid attention to detail. I was more hip-hop. I sampled through life. Or rather, I was sport. I played games to fit in. He was more art. He naturally embraced life. In fact, the only time I got to be better than Alan was anything athletic or something, but it never seemed like it mattered because, whatever. Anyway, my father's hard work finally paid off, and he became a property owner, so we moved from 194. Now here's the power. Ever since then, it's been 19 years. This year will be the 20th, and I haven't seen you. And lately, I've been thinking of you, because something in the inside of me still screams for your approval. It's real. I even wanted to be just like you. But unfortunately, like you, I never became jazz. Instead, I remained hip-hop. But it's through hip-hop I got knowledge of self. By crossing paths with men of God who spoke the word to me like MCs, and life was like one huge cipher. Spray-painted graffiti on the walls of my understanding the true meaning of salvation, so God found me and touched my life like he was a DJ and I was a vinyl. So he scratched all my sins away. Because I used to be a B-boy. Oh, that's just short for bad boy. But ever since he found me, I moved on to the next letter. Now I'm a C-boy, translation church boy. So I never became jazz or remained hip-hop. Instead, I'm gospel now. I'm still sport, only that I no longer play games to fit in. I now belong to a team whose goal is to win souls, and unlike you, Alan, I never became art. Instead, I became an artist. I now create that which people embrace, because see, lately I've been thinking of you. And I think I now know why people make funny faces during praise and worship. Because worship is actually sweet. I even cry sometimes. There's nothing sweet as spending time with God in prayer. And remember that psalm I didn't know by head. Now I know it by heart. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want to compromise. His word is my standard now. And I've since learned how to spell P-U-R-P-O-S-E. The day I learned to leave that word and not spell it, I won life and not a spelling contest. And I stopped watching cartoons, but I just thought you should know that real life or real men or real love is not like Johnny Bravo's. In fact, real love is more than the laughter of emotions, being tickled by attraction, or the heaviness we feel when we miss a loved one. But it's God's definition of give, and it's synonymous to choice. I know I haven't found it yet, my soulmate. But when I do, I'll dedicate a life to let her know that she's what decorates beautiful my words, will make love to her ears, breathing the true meaning of love to understanding that, honey, you are not a queen, for your greatness is more than just royalty or being married to this king in this world that has made marriage to look like a dry joke. I will marry her, and together we'll start a family. Wisdom told me the greatest way to love your kids is to love their moms, so a family will bring us even closer. Our love will be like wine. It will get better with time, so Leona Lewis will be our mascot for love. Our kids who know the warmth of a hug and the passion of a kiss, who will love them and celebrate them before the world came, because growing up without these simple, seemingly insignificant things they taught me, they are what make us or break us as kids. See, lately I've been thinking of you. I have grown. And I hope you did too. I've since learned how to love my family unconditionally. Me and my father, we're like BFFs now. This role that I seem to play so well, being on a platform and speaking profoundly, he is my model. I've since found myself. And I hope you did too, because lately I've been thinking of you.